Yes, they're going to strike. We're going to be able to cut production. Lay off the executives. Fire the executives that put everybody in this position.
I wanted to pull up a line in this article right here, and it says the UAW, the Sean Fain, which is the president, criticized Stellantis in a video and urged the workers to authorize a strike against the automaker. So here's the thing that I want to talk about.
Yes.
They're threatening Stellantis with a strike right now at the time where they're cutting production. It seems to me like if Sean Fain wanted to actually threaten Stellantis with anything, they would threaten Stellantis to come to work every single day and work a full shift and work as hard as they possibly can.
Yes.
And in that way, you know what? They might actually get what they want, because Stellantis doesn't want that at all right now.
Yes, Stellantis is probably sitting back watching that video, and the higher ups at Stellantis are going, thank goodness, yes, they're going to strike. We're going to be able to cut production, okay? And we're not going to have to pay them because we laid them off. They're going to go on strike. It's not going to cost us anything. So, yeah, I think if you want leverage in that case, you have to say, we're going to show you how to improve dramatically how many of these vehicles you can actually build in an hour, because our employees are so up to that task that we're going to build more than you ever dreamed was possible. And that would get Stellantis's attention to say, we need to lay you off.
I mean, I get it. Sean Fain, he's saying the things that he's supposed to do.
Sure.
But at what point does it just become like our headlines? And it's like, okay, well, this is laughable at this point, because it was done 3 months ago. It was done last week. You know what, Ray? It's done again today. And it seems like Sean Fain's doing, you know what? It sells. People like to click on it, I guess. So he knows what grabs the attention. But it seems like at some point people are going to be like, or Stellantis, I don't know what Stellantis even says to this comment, because they can't come out and say, okay, well, we want you to strike. What did they do? Do they say, oh, no, well, we're so scared, we really don't want you to strike? But then they don't change anything, and they basically just want to call his bluff, and they want him to pull the trigger at some point.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm sure they do. But it's all posturing. You know, like so many things in life, it's just posturing. The workers know that if they go on strike, they would be doing Stellantis a favor. The workers also know that Stellantis has said they need to cut production by 200,000 units. Well, that's going to lay off staff, but at least they're letting them know up front. You know, because if they don't cut production 200,000 units, that could be the death knell for this business. So it's just posturing. Everybody's trying to position themselves to maintain the most that they can. Neither one of them at this point is dealing from a position of strength. The union knows that Stellantis is struggling. Stellantis knows that the union wants to keep as many jobs as they can. So Stellantis has to be able to say to the union, look, we said there could be almost 2,500 layoffs at I think it's the Warren plant that they were talking about. And it's only going to be 1,100. If that doesn't seem like good faith to you, I don't know what is. So, you know, if you're Sean Fain, you have to look at it and go, well, see, we scared them into only laying off 1,100 people instead of 2,500 people. And everybody gets to win.
So do you think the workers are aware of what's going on? Because, I would assume, especially, this plant that we're talking about is a Michigan plant.
Okay.
And what I've heard is, I've seen the videos. I'm sure everybody watching has seen a lot of these videos of all of these trucks stacking up in Michigan. Yeah. And it seems like there's just nowhere to put them. So when you're coming to work and outside the plant, you see, okay, well, we had no trucks. And they were getting out of here as soon as we were putting them outside. Now we see a little bit more, and then a couple months go by, and then we see a lot more, and then a couple months go by, and like, oh well, there's nowhere else to put these things, and we keep making them. Do these workers, are they concerned because they know I mean, they got to see the headlines, they got to see YouTube videos that
Yeah.
production's shutting down, that workers are getting laid off. I know I can speak. I mean, for my wife, whenever she was at a big bank that started a lot of layoffs, and there was news going on, and it seems like throughout the whole bank that everyone knew that okay, they could be next on the chopping block. What does that do? I mean, for morale for the
Kills
workers
it.
that are trying to put out trucks. Yeah.
It kills it. I mean, but for those who lose their job, it's terrible. For those who keep the job, they're thankful. And yeah, if you're building the trucks and you see them stacking up, it's not like, and I believe the last one just closed down. It's not like Kmart, okay, where you stack them deep and you sell them cheap. Okay, it doesn't work like that. Well, it didn't work for Kmart because I think the last Kmart store finally closed. So it's you can't be a worker in these facilities and see the number of trucks that are sitting around and think to yourself, this is a good thing. I mean, you know what's going to happen. And if you're the last one in, you're the first one out. Okay. I mean, most of it's based on seniority when they start laying people off. So if you were the last guy in, you're the first guy that's going to be hitting the unemployment line. So you can see, it's, but the real problem is that this isn't just an overnight thing. This didn't just happen yesterday. This has been going on for 18 to 24 months. And these production employees who are going to be laid off had the upper echelon executives at Stellantis done their jobs properly and didn't just decide to build high profit margin, high MSRP vehicles, that if they hadn't decided that, then these people wouldn't be getting laid off. And so, perhaps this is one of those great cases where instead of laying off the production people, lay off the executives, fire the executives that put everybody in this position. But those executives, they all have golden parachutes. They all get a severance package when if and when they're ever let go. There's very little detriment to having done a poor job at a high executive level at a large corporation. The reward is that if we fire you, we're going to pay you handsomely for having fired you.
So it's interesting. You just brought up a memory. It's interesting you talk about bankruptcy and then Kmart, kind of in the same thought. And you talking about it takes a long time. Well, it
Yeah.
takes a very, very, very long time for a lot of these parts to move through. So even if a company like Stellantis declares bankruptcy today, like you're still going to see trucks being built for years and years. They're still going to run their business just like it was. So I wonder the reason why I saw this over the weekend, but just now, I can't remember how long ago that Kmart filed bankruptcy, but just this past weekend, the last Kmart store closed. And that's just showing that how long these things can take. And I worked for Sears when I was 17, 18, 19 years old. And it went bankrupt just a little bit after I quit there. And they were, I think they were bought by Kmart. But there was still a Sears store that was open like 3 or 4 years ago, right down the street from us. So even though it can be a decade or even more that these companies can go bankrupt, they can stay in business for a very, very, very long time.
Indeed. And so, a company like Stellantis, when you look at all the brands that they have in North America and then internationally, it's almost okay. So it's 22 years. There you have it. but it's almost like Stellantis has to be thinking to himself, there's got to be a buyer. For instance, Bed Bath and Beyond went out of business, went bankrupt and went out of business a year or so ago. Somebody bought the name Bed Bath and Beyond, and it's just an internet company now. Okay. Same thing happened to Sharper Image. Sharper Image went out of business, I don't know how long ago. Somebody bought the name, and it's just an internet online company now. So my point is that Stellantis could sell the Chrysler name, sell the Dodge name, sell Jeep, sell Ram. Somebody might keep it going to some extent for some period of time. And even when a business goes bankrupt, an automotive concern, they still have to agree to make parts and stuff, replacement parts and stuff for a number of years. I think it's like 10 years. I mean, Fisker didn't just close down. You have to agree to certain rules and regulations when you've run out of money. And some of those rules and regulations are, well, you have to stay in business long enough to be able to service the customers that you do have for X amount of years. I don't know how the hell they do it, but they do it, because the bankruptcy court says, okay, whatever money you're getting for this has to go to taking care of customers for the next 10 years. So, yeah, even if Stellantis decides to dump these North American brands, they'll still be around for a long time.
Yeah, and just to go full circle, just if Stellantis files bankruptcy tomorrow, there's not going to be this mass fire sale where everything's 50% off, because you got to think too, well, these dealerships that have these vehicles, they really have no connection from Stellantis. They're a buyer of Stellantis products, and then those vehicles are in the hands of those dealers. So those dealers, if Stellantis goes bankrupt and can't offer more incentives, if they can't give extra floor plan assistance after that time frame, it's in the dealer's court at that point, and you're not going to see fire sales because these dealers are not going to sign up for taking those kind of losses on these vehicles. So just whenever you see headlines come through, and there's going to be some over the next couple of years where somebody's going to go bankrupt. There's going to be some company sold to another company. There's going to be some brands that are packaged and moved to other ownership. You're not going to see anything materialistically change as far as pricing goes overnight, even if you get one of these big headlines that come through the system.
It's not like when I had a Golf USA franchise in Mesa, Arizona, a single point Golf USA franchise, and I had my going out of business sale. Okay. And the first day of my going out of business sale was the biggest sales day I ever had in the history of the store. Okay. Because I was desperate. I needed to lower the prices. I just needed to raise some cash. Okay. If Stellantis says we're done, that doesn't, they're done. Their customers are their dealers. Their customers aren't who the dealer sells those vehicles to. So they've already sold their product. They sold it to their dealer body. It then becomes the dealer's problem to figure out what the hell to do with it and how to get out of it. And the dealer's got to think, well, I don't necessarily want to go bankrupt. I don't know if I can afford to go buy another franchise dealership somewhere else after I close down this operation. But they need to figure out how to unload their Stellantis products and still try and make enough money to stay in some type of business.
So to just go full circle on this, going back to talking about the workers that are affected by this, it's a sad thing, right? We don't want workers to lose their job, and it's management's fault. It's CEO's fault. It's the company's fault. It's not the workers' fault. But to go full circle on this, I relate the quality of work maybe to what I talk about with repos. So, with repos, they're the bottom of the barrel of vehicles, and consumers that are in these cars, they know that they're not going to make the payments. They know for the most part that they're going to get these cars repossessed.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't take care of them. They don't do maintenance on them, anything like that. I wonder if workers at a place like Stellantis, if they see the writing on the wall and they know layoffs are coming and they know that they're probably next, because like you said earlier, if they have recently been hired, they probably know they're going to be the first one to get fired.
Yeah.
If they know that they're going to get laid off in the near term, do they just not work? Do they even care? Does the quality slack off as far as a lot of these workers if they think that they're going to lose their job? I would think so.
Well, I mean, I think it's called human nature.
Yeah.
If you know your job's gonna disappear, are you really as concerned with doing your job as well as you could or should? What's the old saying? Never buy a car that's built on a Monday or a Friday. Okay, and the reason for that is, well, on a Monday, the workers are still half hungover from their weekend watching football and stuff, and on Friday they just want to get the hell out of there. So, the old saying was, well, see if you can figure out a way to buy a car that was built on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Well, if the handwriting's on the wall that Stellantis would ultimately go out of business, it wouldn't matter what day these vehicles were built on, because the employees wouldn't care. It's like, hey, I'm losing my job anyway. That steering wheel might not be tight as it should have been. Who cares?
Well, we've been talking about quality issues for a while from Ford, but I think Stellantis has recently taken over the recall.
Yes,
the recall on top of the charts right now. So It might not be a bad thing to get all these employees lit, because it might be better for them to change the course of what they're doing now. It might actually make a better product.
It wouldn't surprise me if Stellantis had brought in a former quality control manager from Ford to show them how to do it.
I made a joke on a video the other day. As we know, two things true about Ford right now. They're really good at pumping out a lot of F-150s.
Yeah,
and then they're really good at recalling all of those F-150s after they pump them out.
Exactly. So, and they probably share some of that knowledge with the good folks at Stellantis at this point. Just a guess.
Yeah, well, that's good. All right, I'm so done talking about Stellantis. Can we be done with Stellantis?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, you at least got me to say their name this week. I still want them to remain nameless, but they are truly the gift that just keeps giving. As much as we want to stop talking about them, they keep doing stuff every week where you go, how can we not talk about them?
Well, they have to make big changes. They have to make them quick, because they're going to go under if things don't change right now.
Well, we shall see. But yes, it would be fine with me if we could switch to a different topic.
All right. Well, I've got one. I'm just going to go in line right here.
Okay.
And here we go. We got some. Take the hat off. I have actually never had my hat off in any video that I've ever done on YouTube. I'll make you a promise, though. If we get to 100,000 subscribers within this year, I will take my hat off. This is on Car Sense. This is a new channel, so subscribe. But I will take my hat off, and I will show you what's under my hat and all the luscious long hair that people have not been able to see. I will show you that if we get to 100,000 subscribers within this year.
When you say within this year, are you talking within the year that we started this, within this calendar year, within the next 12 months? What?
It's all up to interpretation and how I want to make the rules out whenever we do whatever we do. So I don't have to do anything. Oh, here we go. There we go. 100,000 subs in 3 months. We have a better chance of Stellantis making affordable products at a reasonable price.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. Tell every living person you know that they need to subscribe to Car Sense with Brandon and Ray.